The government of Jamaica will be hosting the 27th Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association Conference and Exhibition through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and the National Water Commission at the Hilton Rosal Resort and Spa in Montego Bay over the period October 8 to 12, 2018. The conference, along with the exhibition, is anticipated to generate discussions and presentations on sustainable climate-resilient solutions to mitigate the challenges that plague the water, wastewater, and solid waste sectors within the Caribbean region. Under the theme, Climate Resilience, Innovation, and Partnership for Sustainable Water and Wastewater Development. Over 400 regional and international participants are expected to attend the conference, inclusive of Caribbean ministers with responsibility for water, wastewater, and solid waste, as well as companies and other stakeholders with interest in the sector, who all have the ability to contribute to the growth of the sector. The CWWA conference has grown in significance over the years, especially since water has moved from a sector issue to becoming a key development issue across the Caribbean. Drought conditions, and many of us can relate to that because we are experiencing drought currently across the island. Drought conditions and water shortages impact all aspects of the economy in Caribbean countries, including agriculture, tourism, health, education, manufacturing, and more, and have taken a social, economic, and environmental toll on the region. Water, according to the UN's World Water Development Report 2015, is at the core of sustainable development, as it is an essential element of services which support poverty reduction, economic growth, and environmental sustainability. It should be noted that the region has come a far way in increasing access to potable water, as the majority of countries have reported access levels well above 90%. So for the conference, I'm just going to highlight some of the thematic areas of focus. And chief among these is one, climate resilient infrastructure. And this area we'll see presentations around climate proofing maintenance and operation of existing infrastructure, and replacement of defective and aged infrastructure. I'm not going to go into all of them, but one area that will be focused on is managing stormwater for water production and distribution and making these more resilient. And many of us often wonder what is happening to why we see so much water running on the roads when it rains, yet we are hearing that there is no water in our catchments. So this is a good area to look at. Another thematic area is water and waste, the energy nexus. And we will focus on managing the cost of energy, investments in renewal for water production and waste management, and transforming waste to energy treasure. Another thematic area is planning for climate variability and change, and I just mentioned the whole issue of disaster, of natural disasters, and of drought taking place. And so this is right up our stream in terms of looking at how do we plan for the climate variability in terms of our island tourism products, managing risks, dealing with water resources and their protections, land use planning, among others. The fourth thematic area pertains to governance, public education, and participation in the water and wastewater sectors. And here we look at improving the quality of service and working with new technologies and legislation to help us to get through this. And of course, the whole issue of non-revenue water comes up under this area. And of course, another thematic area pertains to information and communication technologies, the change agent for water and waste management. So the whole issue of data management and standards and the dissemination of information. And right now with the drought, people are constantly calling upon the NWC to speak more with the public about what is happening. So we recognize the importance of the dissemination of information, and so it has found a place in the conference. The sixth thematic area pertains to finance and partnership, We can't give you water supply as you'd like, piped water supply, we should say, as you'd like, if we don't have the infrastructure in place. And so it takes cash to care. So inadequate financing of the funding of projects is one thing that we face, one challenge that we face. And so we'll be looking at the whole financing and partnership. How can we work with other entities to give you the water resources, to bring the water resources to you? The seventh thematic area pertains to waste management and security. And many of us, we utilize stuff and we simply put the waste out for the trucks to take up, or some person dispose it inappropriately. And so it gets into our water bodies. So the whole issue of inadequate waste management and land-based pollution in terms of agriculture and industry, this is an area that we'll also be looking at. And the whole issue of recycling, reusing, and recycling our waste. And of course, water and wastewater international themes for 2018. And these refer to valuing waste as a resource. And beat plastic pollution. And plastic has been in the news even in our government, in our parliament, where they are looking to look at how we dispose of our plastics. So the foregoing issues are significantly impacting the provision of water, wastewater, and solid waste services in the Caribbean and need to be addressed by the countries in the region. So they have found a place on the agenda for the conference. Critical is the provision of financial resources to the water and wastewater sector for the supply and management of the services in order to ensure the sustainability of regional resources and economic development. The mindset to develop and expand meaningful partnerships to combat the challenges is at the center of all that we do. The upcoming conference will provide the platform for meaningful change to happen. And we look forward to seeing you all there and having your input in what we anticipate will be a fabulous conference. Once again, thank you.
Honorable Carl Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Ms. Doreen Prendergast, Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Mr. Mark Barnett, President of the National Water Commission and Chairman of the Jamaica Local Conference Organizing Committee for the CWWA. Mr. Noel White, my colleague and Vice President of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association. Other distinguished members and officials of the government of Jamaica, other members of the Jamaica Local Conference Organizing Committee, specially invited guests, our very important sponsors and other supporters, representatives of the various media houses, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I want to thank Mr. Barnett for introducing me in my other capacity so I don't have to mention it during this presentation, which is being made on behalf of our current president of the CWWA, Mr. Alphonsus Daniel. And I'm going to read verbatim his remarks. He regrets that he could not be here himself and has asked me to step in on his behalf just for this morning. And I quote, "It is for me a great privilege to deliver remarks at the launch of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association's 27th Conference and Exhibition, which will be held between October 8th and 12th, 2018. This is our signature event, which brings together annually all the key players, professionals, engineers, scientists, contractors, professors, technicians, manufacturers, vendors, customers, etc. Indeed, all stakeholders of the water and waste sectors of the region and beyond. Firstly, let me say that we are delighted to be back in Jamaica and specifically hosted in Montego Bay at Rose Hall Hotel, now rebranded Hilton Rose Hall Resort and Spa. I must highlight that this will be the fourth time that Jamaica will be hosting the annual conference and exhibition. It was held here previously in 1994, 1999, and 2008, and now again in 2018. The CWWA board Executive Council, and membership are eternally grateful for this opportunity. We want to register our thanks to the former Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Dr. Horace Chang, the current Minister, Honorable Carl Samuda, and the board and management of the National Water Commission for their unwavering support to this venture once again. The theme chosen for this year's conference and exhibition is Climate Resilience, Innovation and Partnership for Sustainable Water and Waste Development. This theme is very pertinent to the region. In this regard, CWWA seeks to remain relevant and has grown to be an important element in the dynamic engine of growth for the delivery of water, wastewater, and waste services to our people of the region. This conference is especially important for the CWWA and partners since, as has been mentioned already, the 14th high-level forum of Caribbean ministers responsible for water will be convened under the aegis of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Ministers are expected to review and endorse the Regional Strategic Action Plan for Governance and Building Climate Resilience in the water sector in the region. The Regional Strategic Action Plan has been developed through extensive consultations with countries and key partner agencies in the region. It was coordinated by Dr. James Fletcher, who some of you may know, a former Minister of Environment in St. Lucia, and the summary of results were presented in the form of a white paper at the 8th World Water Forum held in Brasilia in March of this year. The Inter-American Development Bank and the Caribbean Development Bank have provided funding to the CWWA to develop the Regional Strategic Action Plan, which will be the blueprint for investments in the water sector in the Caribbean. Other partners include United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP, the Pan American Health Organization, the Organization of American States, to name just a few. Without these partners, CWWA would not be able to fulfill its mandate and would not be able to roll out the programs necessary to serve humanity in general and the peoples of the region in particular. I want to assure you that our most valuable sponsors, partners, and the powerful, well-organized Jamaica Local Organizing Committee, and with strong support from the Executive Director and the CWWA Secretariat in Trinidad and Tobago, the Board and the Executive Council, as well as the unwavering commitment of our participants, exhibitors, and presenters. Without them, this conference would not be possible, and with them, we expect this conference to be one of the best ever. Thank you very much. Delivered on behalf of Mr. Alphonsus Daniel.
So on the Monday, we will be having, as usual, registration. In the Monday afternoon, we will be graced by the Prime Minister, who intend to declare the conference open. And then Tuesday, we go into the real meat of the matter, and I will give you just a little bit of breakdown. But, you know, ladies and gentlemen, a conference of this magnitude could not be possible without, you know, a lot of begging, beseeching. And yes, we do that at the organizing committee. But we did a little arm twisting sometimes, and we were able to get at least 5 major sponsors to partner with us. And I just want, although their names are displayed there, it is important to give recognition to those who have thought it important to invest in Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association in sponsoring this conference. And we want to give Vinci Construction Grand Projects, you know, they never hesitated, I might say. And, you know, in other words, when I asked, they said, no, we're on board. When do you want the check? So that's the level of commitment to the Caribbean activities. And, you know, just a little bit of background, ladies and gentlemen. Vinci, through another name, Soja at the time, has been in Jamaica since, I think, 1998, if my memory serves me correct. So they're here now 20 years. So you could say they're almost part of the Caribbean. And of course, we're doing lots of stuff, and one of the richest banks in the Caribbean, NCB Capital Markets, and it would have been very shameful if NCB, who had just announced multi-billion-dollar profits, could not come on board. So I just want to, press their button a little bit. We would like a little bit more nonetheless, but I know they're going to tell me otherwise if I do broach that argument. But NCB Cap Market was the first, and in fact, they are the only platinum sponsor on this for this conference. And again, they never hesitate in participating with us. And we want to acknowledge you and appreciate your commitment. And again, deal metering is not here. Sorry, and you would have heard us spoke about the activities that we're doing with deal. If we're purchasing 450,000 smart meters, why not try to get a portion of what we're spending back in Jamaica to promote and to host a conference? And so we did that. I don't think there's any harm in that at all. And so deal was on board. I'm going to skip a little bit, not to outdone Mia, because Mia is a critical partner as well. But M&M, as you know, is one of Jamaica's leading construction entity. And when we say we want to do this, we want to do that, without any hesitation, M&M said, we will do the Gulf. Whatever the cost, we will cover it. And so I want to give accolades for that level of unwavering commitment to the process and to support CWWA. Mia, coming back to Mia, and I'm going to just segue a little bit. For those of you who feel peeved, upset, you don't have any water this morning, you're driving on the road and the place is dug up, don't blame NWC.
Blame it all on Mia.
Blame Mia. But, again, it's part of the partnership. And when we started that journey in 2015, they gave their commitment to be a part of the improvement of our water supply infrastructure. It took some time. It creates all sorts of headaches. It, creates some level of dislocate, but it's all for the betterment of service in the future. And I just want to recognize Mia for coming on board, albeit that they are getting bad names along with us, but they stuck with us, and they are now putting their money where their mouth is to help sponsor CWWA 2018. Isratech, one of our local companies, I got the call and I said, how can I help? It wasn't even a case in this instance where I'm calling. They're calling. We want to be part of it because they find synergy in the activities that we are pursuing, the thematic areas, and it actually aligns with their business activities. And we want to say thank you very much for, participating and sponsoring CWWA conference. Now, I left coal on the top list for last. Not that I'm going to give you anything secretive, but coal is out of Canada. And when we met so the background is, I was in a conference in Portugal, and I brought CWWA conference to them and said, yes, we're on board. Whatever you want, we will help you. And so they are fully committed to ensure that CWWA 2018 will be like no other conference when it starts in another 6 weeks or so. And there are other things that will come, but at the appointed time. And coal engineering out of Canada is the architect of that. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to recognize my platinum sponsors as they deserve a special recognition at this time of the program.
Just to let you know that so far we have 22 confirmed sponsors. And some of them, not all are listed as we say here, but some of our very own local entities, like the Development Bank of Jamaica and the National Housing Trust, they too have come on board. So we are truly grateful for the support that we're getting.
So, we are going to now take a special item before we call on our own minister, Kareem Chang.
I'm trying to hold my breath, let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing?
Co-chairs, invited guests, visitors to Jamaica, other very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As I sat there and listened, my mind, I reflected on an experience I had in Rome when I visited the FAO conference. When was it, Adonia? 2 years ago? Year ago? Yeah. And followed up by the regional conference that was held here earlier this year to deal with one of the most important aspects of this water business, the harnessing of the water supplies by each country and the impact that our environment has on that challenge, and the need for us to recognize the extent to which climate change is altering the traditional view of how we handle water. And it was very clear that whatever strategy is employed, if we do not find the appropriate techniques to preserve water that is wasted in each, especially in island states of the Caribbean, that pour into the sea every time there's a heavy rainfall. And although these millions of gallons of water fall on the land, vast majority goes to the sea and is not preserved. So when we say we are a land of wood and water, how can we be a land of wood and water and we do not have enough water to satisfy the needs of our farmers? And I speak of Jamaica particularly, but we are not unique. So what is the challenge? This conference, I believe, would seek to try to document strategies that would lead to an effective water harvesting strategy, without which we will be here again year after year talking about developing our countries in agriculture, in production generally, etc. So that is the first thing I'd like to really emphasize, the critical necessity of finding the strategies necessary to harvest water. The next thing is the management of that water which is harvested and the distribution of it to the most needy and to those areas that would offer the levels of production that you need. It is pointless talking about having water distributed, and yet when you drive you see puddles of water and there's no rain, which tells you that the infrastructure is deficient. The infrastructure for most of us is so old, it's so unreliable that, quite frankly, Mr. President, let me tell you, you can repair all the roads you want in Jamaica. If you don't have an infrastructure that is beneath it to distribute water, those roads are not going to last long. So that brings me to the second important thing: the management of the delivery of water through reliable infrastructure. Now, I know that the Water Commission is challenged because a lot of the pipes that they have underground are very ancient pipes. And they constantly have to be attending to them. And as you fix one, another breaks out somewhere else. So it's very challenging. But it is reminiscent of a principle that through the UN was evolved, where there was a policy to provide health for all by the year 2000. I had the great fortune of serving in the Ministry of Health at the time in 1980. And I was always struck by this notion of providing health for all by the year 2000. And when I really delved into it, it was not that everybody was going to have free health by the year 2000. It was that you would have access. That meant that you had to build out the infrastructure necessary to provide access to health for all, so that nobody would be beyond the reach of health services. And I liken that onto the water situation. We must seek collectively to work on the necessary strategies to make our respective inputs into an overall policy position that will enable each member state in this wonderful organization, voluntary, non-governmental organization, to support the notion that every single person that resides in our region must have access to running water. That is critical. There are many who say that the next, if ever, God forbid, a world war comes about, it will be fighting over water. The one thing that we cannot do without is water for consumption and other things. And it is rapidly being depleted because of the management of the infrastructure. I'll give you an example. I read not too long ago, and I'm not even going to call the name of the country, but it'll be evident as I describe. One of the largest cities in one of the largest countries and the most populated country in the world has a level of pollution and over-extraction of the aquifers to the point where just a few years ago you could extract at a couple hundred meters. Today, in order to find water in the main area where water is drawn, you have to go down 1.5 miles. 1.5 miles to get what you could have gotten not that long ago from going down a few meters. Now, that should be a lesson to all of us. Not to take our environment for granted. Not to believe that we can engage in practices that may satisfy a need today, but to make preparations to enable us to preserve that precious commodity that so many of us have in such great abundance, and not run risks with it. The importance of respecting environment, our environment. And finally, I want to say that the respective agencies that operate throughout our region cannot afford And this is why I commend this association. This is why I give it so much support. I will definitely devote a lot of my time to supporting organizations such as this. We cannot afford to operate in silos. We must share our common experiences. We must share our levels of expertise. We must go the extra mile to assist member states who may have challenges that they are trying to cope with. And wherever we can make an input to bring about relief in each of our member state, members of our community, we must do that unreservedly. That will take money, and that will take commitment, and it will take a level of training and a level of expertise that will give us what we need to protect our resources. So no matter how abundantly we can go and boast of the amount of water that we have, we must be mindful of our community in which we operate to extend all the assistance possible. So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, and my dear Chief Technical Director, Mrs. Prendergast, I want us to focus very seriously on being a part of the family that comprises this wonderful association, and to extend all the support that is possible. I was struck on this board by a name, Miss Birdie. Miss Birdie uses water to, I suspect, to make the products that she sells. But that is the kind of thing, you never mentioned her. You mentioned NCB, and you mentioned M&M, and everybody. But I was struck by Miss Birdie. I say that to say this, no matter at what level you operate. Sometimes it's not the size that matters, it's the commitment. And her obvious commitment to playing her part and being a part of this great effort should be commended. I am looking forward to participating in your conference. I know it will be a great success. And I know I speak for the Prime Minister when I say how much we wish you all that is good. And I hope that you will carry away from this launch the extent to which Jamaica is committed to supporting the efforts of those who have worked so hard. And I must say that the head of the environmental body here that gave such a, well, it wasn't his, it's like Mrs. Prendergast, she gave a speech ostensibly prepared by the permanent secretary, but of course she did a little filling in here and there, which made it even more interesting. But it is a pleasure for me to be here this morning, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's the first time I'm being confronted with this phrase, declaration. But whatever it means, I do declare. I do declare that this press conference or this launch is the beginning of something that is great for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. We note your stated support for the CWWA family. And we note the areas of emphasis in your presentation, where you spoke to having an effective strategy in place for rainwater harvesting, for the management and distribution of water to the needy and to areas of production, to address our deficient infrastructure. And you also mentioned what is critical is that every person has access to water. So we note what you have said, Minister, and I'm sure the conference will adequately address these concerns that you have raised. Thank you once again for coming.
The conference is set up where we invite exhibitors and those persons who are in the industry providing technical solution to both environmental, water, and waste sectors to display their products and offering. And so we should be having just about 65 booths set up within the Rosal Hotel. And in addition to that, concurrently, there will be technical sessions covering the topics that was mentioned earlier. And those sessions will be running like 3 or 4 each, on the hour each day. But in addition to that, we will be having on Tuesday a cultural night. Obviously, we have to share with our guests a part of a piece of Jamaica. So we asked how Miss Birdie come into the mix. That's how Miss Birdie comes into play. We asked how trade winds come into play. That is how trade winds come into play. And there are others as well. Eaton's down in Trelawney, that's how they come into play. Rosal Development, they will be making available the Rosal Great House. I tell you, I need to pay for this phone. So those are some of the things that we want to ensure that our guests, when they do arrive, we have a saying that say, come for the conference, stay for the vacation. Because we want not just benefit for the conference, but also promoting Jamaica as well as a destination. However, we don't want to run the risk that when persons approach their bosses overseas to attend the conference, it gives the impression that they are going on a vacation. It will be a hard working process over a 3 to 4 day period. In addition to that, we will be having certain technical tours and going at certain specific locations, whether it be a waste dump or landfill, or look at some of the projects that we would have been pursuing in Jamaica, water or wastewater project, both in the private and public sector, and a possible trip to Appleton to see how they deal with this thing. Just a possible, not necessarily confirmed, but it really is part of the technical plus educational activities locally. So, ladies and gentlemen, you may ask, we have a number of persons who have confirmed and who are selected their booths. And in fact, I may just announce, because of the hard-working team that is round the clock, ensuring that those who demonstrated interest is not just only an interest, but we actually demand that they book early. We are just about all sold out in booths.
We still have a few.
Just a few.
And we are looking for persons to come on board.
We still want people on board, and we're still accepting sponsors. And I see a very good friend in the audience, and when I'm finished, I'm going to twist his arm as well and ensure that it's okay, Vaughn. I'm talking about Vaughn from Paramount Trading, and they do chlorine and a lot of stuff. So chlorine is one of a vital chemical in the water treatment process. In fact, it's what we predominantly use for its potability so that you can feel comfortable drinking. However, so much for me and my co-chair. We want to just, Charles, are you ready? Brief 2 minutes, just a 2-minute video presentation on the conference. And after that, myself and co-chair will sit, and we believe we want to give our main sponsors, and in the order on the program, just a few minutes to say why did they come on board, because I believe it's important to demonstrate to the wider Caribbean, to Jamaica, why entities as those that we have mentioned really gravitate to participate in this conference.
Come to Jamaica and feel all right. The land of wood and water is a tourist's paradise and such a natural venue to host the 27th annual conference and exhibition of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, with its abundant flowing streams, highly rated water quality, beautiful beaches, and high annual rainfall rate. The Caribbean's premier 5-day water, wastewater, and waste management forum will be held at the luxurious all-inclusive Hilton Rose Hall Resort and Spa in Montego Bay from October 8 to 12, 2018. Over 2 million visitors come to Jamaica each year to enjoy the country's wide fare. From high-powered business meetings to large conferences to extra special vacation getaways, Montego Bay, Jamaica can host it all. So when nearly 500 water, wastewater, and waste management experts and stakeholders from across the region gather for high-level sessions with government ministers, development bankers, technocrats, and policymakers, serious conference sessions with sector professionals and decision makers seeking solutions to common water and waste sector challenges, and engaging exhibits of products, services, and innovations, one can expect an unforgettable Jamaican conference experience. CWWA 2018 is serious business.
Masters of ceremonies, minister, all other protocols observed. Let me just make one little confession here. I need to tell you, golf has bogey, par, and birdie. When I looked and I saw a birdie there, I said to myself, the CWWA is anticipating a good golf tournament. But as stated in your introductory document, water is at the core of sustainable development, as it is an essential element in the service and support of almost every area of our life: agriculture, manufacturing, construction, engineering, etc. So effective management is therefore key to the social and economic life of our people. So let me not just endorse the initiative, but let me congratulate the organizers for this and the many other events promoting the preservation of our water resources and the management of our wastewater. Like your organization, we in M&M pride ourselves in delivering quality work at all times, in a timely manner, and at a competitive price. Our mission is to effectively satisfy the needs of our clients and our consultants, labor, and the general public. We are very heavily involved in the construction business, as I think the President told you. And we are also very heavily involved in working for the Water Commission, in building water structures and wastewater system. So you can see why we welcomed, you can see why we grabbed the opportunity to lend our support to this conference. We frankly also believe that companies, because we have a lot of complaining in Jamaica, people complain about what's not happening. We believe that companies must be good corporate citizens, obey the laws, protect the environment, contribute to the community in which they operate, including programs like this one. This is why a significant part of our operation is our program, channeled through the Chance Fund. I just want to tell you, we are funding this, and the President knows the extent of our funding. We say we will fund it, no matter the cost. It is funded through our Chance Fund. We are, I don't know how you want to rank us, but this year we feel so strongly about corporate participation in life. We can't just complain. We must participate. M&M Jamaica has established its outreach fund for $24 million for the period 2018 to 2019. You are benefiting from a part of this fund. The fund mainly comprises our scholarship program, and I think you would have seen the releases later on, our Entrepreneurs Fund. I want to tell you, Entrepreneurs Fund look at young entrepreneurs, people who claim they can't get no help, no fund, no money. And we zero in and give them that support. Assistant to community program, and of course, the much heralded M&M maths competition for high schools in St. Elizabeth. Now, we are, as you know, I think the main or only sponsor, the main sponsor for the golf tournaments, which take place before the formal part of the conference. We were pretty deliberate in choosing this, as we can't think of a better way to get participants in a good frame of mind than to have them play a round of golf. And of course, I can hint to you, I play at Cinnamon Hill sometime, and just a word of caution, it's the easiest place to lose your balls. Those of you who are golfers, and I'm not seeing many famous faces here, maybe one or so there, we might agree with me that being a golf sponsor is like being the father of a groom at a wedding. You have all the enjoyment without any of the responsibilities. So let me again thank the CWWA, and to say that we at M&M, not just me, the entire company, feel very honored to be a sponsor. And this is an integral part of our commitment to this country and to this industry to encourage and promote excellence. We look forward, Mr. Chairman, to partner with organizations like yours whose commitment to quality mirrors ours. The entire M&M team wish you well and hope for a successful conference. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm extremely worried because I have only 2 months to learn golf and to try to be competitive with the other sponsors. But I will do my best. MIA Jamaica, it's a company that is extremely committed with NWC, working every day, 7 days per week, 24 hours per day, with a co-management partnership, which is also an innovation in the sector. And NWC is delivering around 150 workers. We are delivering 30 to 40 workers. So it's a huge effort every day to untangle and to understand the Jamaican network and put it working properly as Jamaica and Kingston and St. Andrew deserves. This is the part of MIA Jamaica. For Jamaica, for the Caribbean, we have also a long project running in Bahamas that is on its 6th year, and it has been very successfully, and is a project that has the same level of the NRW achievements that we seek and we want to accomplish here in Kingston and St. Andrew. Finally, our participation in the CWWA conference, it's so long that almost 30 years ago, my friend and project director of the KSA project, Mr. Paul Fenner, that is seated here, is participating in this conference since that date. And we are, since 2008, participating actively in all the CWA conferences in Caribbean. And last year, I managed to participate in the British Guyana. I think it's a challenging idea of bringing the conference to Montego Bay, but I think it was very interesting to take it out of the capital city, which is the usual place where people do the conferences. I find that Mr. President was as a good idea and a good challenge. But I believe with the commitment and the attitude of all the partners of the team, the conference will be a success, and we are fully dedicated, MIA Jamaica and MIA Harrison Group, to help in what is necessary to find all the links, all the support, all the financial help, and giving also some, I believe, 4 papers to the conference. So we are all our technicians, our experts are participating in the technical part. Thank you very much.
Water is life. Just 3 words, no pun intended, the National Water Commission lives by. Indeed, as Jamaicans, it's something that we all believe and embrace, especially during the summer months, right? This precious natural resource is one that requires effective management, maintenance of highest standards, and world-class quality control, regardless of where on earth you call home. This necessitates creating synergies between the built and natural environment, synergies that we as leaders across the Caribbean must quickly establish and sustain if we are to effectively manage climate change. Rising sea levels, unusual weather patterns, and harmful exposure to gases are all effects of global warming, which will no doubt impact the Earth's water supply. Therefore, the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association takes on new relevance in this current dispensation. Your commitment as the region's foremost strategist in research and development of water supply and sanitation techniques must be underscored. Climate change is real, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me. We feel it, we see it. And it demands innovation, and innovation requires financing, and that's where we at NCB Capital Markets come in. With just under 30 billion in expenditure each year, the NWC remains an important enterprise in the government's program of growth stimulation. As a billion-dollar enterprise fully owned by the government but intended to operate based on revenues it generates, it is important that the NWC be viable financially. In furtherance of financial viability, the NWC has identified that it needs some US $3.5 billion to fund much needed infrastructure development. And if this is the needs for Jamaica, you can imagine the wider Caribbean. And Mr. Barnett, as your trusted financing partner, NCB Capital Markets will always assist, as we have done over the past 6 years, having financed 5 transactions for both NWC and the Central Wastewater Treatment Company. So I dare to say, ladies and gentlemen, that NCB is Jamaica's premier subject matter expert when it comes down to financing water and water-related projects. As a financial powerhouse across the region, having done approximately US $1.5 billion in capital markets deals over the last 2 years, this summit comes to October will afford us an opportunity to discuss matters of regional importance. We have a presence in the Southern Caribbean by our merchant bank in Trinidad and Tobago, and by Southern Caribbean, I mean Guyana, Suriname, the ABC Islands. We have a presence in the Eastern Caribbean through our office in Barbados, and more recently, the Northern Caribbean via our group's recent acquisition in Bermuda. We pride ourselves on being an integral part of and building the communities in which we serve, and so are quite excited at the exchange of ideas, the possibilities of partnering with the respective member agencies in developing top-tier water supply and waste management industries. An ecosystem that sustains our people as we promote health, wellness, and above all, life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
I'm just going to quickly go through the list of sponsors so that everybody's name is mentioned, every entity's name is mentioned. So, Deal Metering, Vinci Constructions, Maya Water Jamaica, Coal Engineering, NCB Capital Markets, Isratech Water Work, National Housing Trust, M&M Construction, the Port Authority of Jamaica, the Development Bank of Jamaica, Victoria Mutual Wealth Management Fund, Wisinco, Red Stripe Bear, Water Reclamation Facility Rose Hall, Florida Aqua Store, Purity Jamaica, King Pepper Products, it is what you know as Eaton Jerk, Tradewinds Citrus, Bill Wright Construction Company Limited, Onibon, Gurney Environmental, and Main Events. So we want to thank all of these persons entities for coming on board.
It is indeed a pleasure to present the closing remarks to this, the press launch for the 27th CWWA Conference and Exhibition to be held, between October 8th and 12th at the Rose Hall, the Hilton Rose Hall Spa in Montego Bay, Jamaica. The theme, as you know, this year is climate resilience, innovation, and partnership for sustainable water and wastewater and waste development. The annual conferences of CWWA have been organized traditionally on 4 primary themes or objectives. The first being an exchange of technical papers and networking for the region's experts, regional and international experts in water and waste sectors. And for this, the 27th conference, we're expecting some 75 technical papers, presentations over the 5 days. And we're planning for approximately 400 delegates from the region and internationally. The second area is for the development of policy directives throughout the Caribbean in the areas of water and the sanitation sectors. And for this, at the 14th High-Level Forum on the Caribbean Ministers, we are hosting this high-level forum so that we can now look at areas that impact significantly on the water sector. The minister has noted in this presentation the key areas of water, harvesting, management of water, access to water, and the need to share our experiences throughout the Caribbean, something that we can do well as a people of the region. This year is very timely as we are hosting the conference when our old Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, is the current chairman of the CARICOM Council of Ministers, and he will be addressing the conference at the opening session. The conference and exhibition also provides a forum where the suppliers of goods and services in the water and sanitation sectors can now exhibit their products and services to the buyers or region's utility providers who will be present at the conference. And I think this is an area where we need to market some more in developing the type of business that's generated by our region water and waste sectors, so we can make this conference and exhibition the WEFTEC of the Caribbean. And I think that's an area that we can look at in the future. Lastly, as our co-chair indicated, one of the sub-themes for the conference was come for the conference and stay for vacation. Traditionally, the conferences have been moved throughout the Caribbean region. And I recall a few years ago, it was moved back onto the US mainland. It really didn't go down very well because it provides an opportunity for both the region and international guests to travel to the region. In fact, this is one way that personally I have now known the region and have developed links with professionals within the region. So that allows us to provide as a driver for the tourism in the region. It is in this context, ladies and gentlemen, that the board of the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, with its secretariat in Trinidad and Tobago, records its sincere thanks to the government of Jamaica through the minister, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and the National Water Commission for hosting the 27th conference and exhibition for the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association. We must also record our sincere thanks to our partner agencies for the support and CWWA-led initiatives for the water and sanitation sectors in the region. And for this, we need to record our thanks to the Inter-American Development Bank, the Caribbean Development Bank, United Nations Environment Program, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and the Organization of American States, all who have partnered with the CWWA throughout the years in developing our programs and conferences. Our special thanks to our sponsors who have been represented here and have most eloquently sold their services this morning. Our 65 exhibitors and 75 presenters of technical papers, and of course, the 400 delegates who will make this, the 27th conference, a memorable one. Our thanks also to the hardworking LOC, who are going to ensure that in October, being in Jamaica, you will be all right. To the media, a special thank you and an invitation to you to our 27th conference and exhibition at the Rose Hall in October, where we will discuss the theme, climate resilience, innovation and partnership for sustainable water and waste development. Come to Jamaica in October and you will be all right. Thank you very much.